I've never been on another date. Well, no, we got to start over.
What?
We got to start over.
You the one who jacked it up. Don't worry about what I'm doing. I am not gonna. No, I'm not. Oh, Jesus, we. Hi there. We are back. We are really kind of coming up on the end of this journey as far as talking about being warriors, being warriors, 7-year warriors. Can you believe it? 7 years of sheltering in place, staying at home supernaturally. And we're just here reporting out our testimonies, our trials, as well as our triumphs. And we really appreciate each and every one of you who have joined us and have gone on this journey with us. We pray, it is our sincerest prayer that you have gotten something from this, that you're walking away with information and with strategies, tips to be able to overcome the times that we're finding ourselves in now with the coronavirus and how the world is really having to be called to shelter in place, to stay at home for your own safety. So as we continue on, today's next strategy that we're sharing with you is to focus on what you have in your hand and not what you don't have. Focus on what you have in your hand and not what you don't have. I'm going to give you a really good example. I know that I am called to do things like what we're doing right here, right now. These types of videos, vignettes, and filming and programming, podcasting. This part of my call. It's part of my assignment, and I'm aware of that. However, I haven't had all the tools during the 7-year journey. And so instead of getting started with what I did have, I sat still. And I didn't move on that part of the assignment. I stayed in that researching zone. Well, let me study a little bit more about spiritual warfare, or let me study a little bit more about healing. Let me study more about the prophetic. And so I would go to the library and get books and things like that. But I had lights, I had cameras, I had things that I could use in order to be able to reach you, the people that I am called to minister to, right? And then share my truths and share the information that I'm learning along the way. And so I spent a lot more time in depression. I spent a lot more time saddened by what I didn't have in my hand versus appreciating what I did have in my hand. Do I have the best of the best camera to film on? No. Do I have the latest and greatest ring light? No. But do I have enough supplies in order to provide you with adequate filming and podcasting and blogging and vlogging and all those great things? And there's so many examples I could give you, but I think that's a really good one for now. Vince, did you have anything that you wanted to talk about making sure you don't look what you don't have, but you look at what you do have?
Yeah, I do. Unfortunately, the world will tell you that the only things you have are physical possessions. And unfortunately, if that's the only types of things that you think that you have, those things really have you, okay? Each one of us was born with gifts and talents that the Lord gave us that are inside. Some of you can write. Some of you are good chefs or, cooks. Some of you have a talent with children or with the elderly. Some people may have a talent in some of the academic disciplines, mathematics.
I see where
English,
you're going. I see
everything.
where you're going.
The thing is that life keeps us busy a lot of times where we don't actually explore the gifts that God gave us, and we keep pursuing the things the world tells us that we need. During this time of sheltering in place and staying at home, you might want to just sit down and ask God, Father, what did you actually give me? What do you want me to do with the talents that you gave me? Because whether you know it or not, one day you will give account with what he gave you. And if you go back to the scripture where you have the man that gave the 3 servants the 1, 5, and 10 talents, the one who buried his 1 talent and gave it back to him was punished. He didn't develop the gift that was given to him. And not all gifts, in fact, most gifts are not material. That's all.
That's a good one. That's a good one. And it also makes me think about the fact that, like, when I first got my call, my instinct was to ask Father, well, do you want me to go to seminary? You're telling me to, do this freedom and deliverance and spiritual warfare stuff, but what am I supposed to do? And he was actually like, absolutely not. He was like, that is not the direction. And he gave me a very specific download that I have no doubt in my mind that was not the direction I was to go in. But I was, when I asked him that question, looking at, I don't have, and he actually told me, you do have in your hand already everything that you need. So, I didn't quite understand that word, that download from him at the time, but I got it now. I understand, and I'm well on my way. So, anything else?
Um, one of the things that I want to encourage everyone is that your gift and talent may be something that the world says you need an actual degree or certification in. But if God gave you a talent, He's given you an ability that no class can give you. He's given you the ability to see things that most people have to spend years dedicating to even notice. So, you know, obviously there are certain things you can't just say, I think I've been gifted to be a world class surgeon. Well, there are some steps you have to go through to make sure that you're legally allowed to do that, or you're breaking a bunch of laws. The thing is that there are other things that you can do on your own that God has given you that don't require law. And that's why it's imperative that you seek Him for His guidance.
And that's really cool because that even goes into the next strategy where it says to be creative with everything. Just find opportunities to be creative, whether it's in your hobbies, your extracurricular type of activities, maybe it's in your actual work. I had to, for example, learn to be creative. This ties back to a strategy we talked about previously, where it was about looking for free things. And one of the strategies that I did in being creative was with getting my recertification hours for my human resources, my professional human resources certification, and finding ways to be able to do things that would qualify as recertification units. So that's one that goes into the career. Another creativity thing was just my hobby, my time. Vince told me to share with you. You guys may have seen the video I did previously, but I was awakened to some of my more artistic talents that I never even knew I had. So I was actually, in a very literal sense, as far as creativity was concerned, I paper bead now. I don't know if you guys can see that, but paper beads, there's two on a toothpick there, and those are pillow beads. And then also I have like the bigger bead, and they're literally beads that are made out of paper, and it's just something I got to do. And then I also I do paint pouring, and I've just been able to explore some different avenues of literal creativity in arts and crafts. So, sometimes you find that you have something inside of you never knew was there. I even do a little bit of sketching, and I'm like, maybe I won't have to hire out a person to do my illustrations for my children's books that I'm writing. Maybe. I don't know.
It's funny. Um, she calls me sometimes her kitchen alchemist because I will just start putting things together, and they usually turn out quite well because I understand how each ingredient interacts with each other, and then she notices I don't measure a lot either. It's like, well, if you understand the ingredients, you don't always have to do that. Now, that came with practice. That came with practice because when I was a child, my mom worked a lot and I had to help out. And one of the ways I helped out was to prepare the meals that she was out working for. And so now I've transferred that to our marriage. And so you may find that you really have not just fun talents, but very useful ones, extremely useful ones. One of the other things that we do with people in our lives with our talents is this type of video is a prime example. We can take our individual experiences and turn them into lessons and confirmations for other people. And I'm certain there are many of you who can do the same.
And that leads, and I love how we're just leaping off from one point to the next. It leads into the next strategy. And that would be to find ways to sow resources. And we're not just talking about money. Now, if you are one of the blessed and highly favored individuals who really you're not missing a beat, your employer is still paying you your full amount of pay while you're sheltering at home, or maybe you are considered an essential employee and so you're still having to report to work. But life is pretty much remaining the same for you from a resources perspective, a financial resources perspective, then this may not apply to you as much. You can maybe spend some money on helping those who are hurting. Maybe there's a way that you can contribute to a legitimate nonprofit or a legitimate fundraising initiative that's out there. Maybe you are able to sell in that manner. Okay, but that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is really sowing in other type of resources because we are full of resources. An example for me, again, with the human resources perspective, is I just recently had the most amazing time volunteering for almost the entire, well, at this point, it seems like the entire school year, because we finished it right before the children had to report at home and stay at home and they were released from their schools here locally anyway. And I would go in maybe once or twice a month. It was about the average of once every maybe 3 to 4 weeks. I would go into the school and talk to them about career development and help them really be able to explore. That was a way that I was able to sow the knowledge and the skills and abilities that I had back into the youth during a time where they were in need of this type of information and during the time that I had time available. Do you have an example of how you've been able to sow and how you've been able to, let me see what the strategy says, find ways to sow your resources?
Okay. One of the biggest resources that you have is also one of the most underutilized.
What's that?
Your history, your personal experiences. Okay. One of the things that the Lord has always had me do is He's always sent people to me that need a sympathetic and empathetic ear, but also someone that has enough life experiences of their own that they can potentially help someone with theirs. Now the thing is that not every negative thing that has happened to you is a bad thing. Because it's first person witness, and you know the dates, times, places, and details, you may be able to sow your time into someone else's life to help them avoid a problem or help them deal with the problem that they're going through. In its most purest form, that's what parents do.
That's true.
Okay? And in their most purest form, that's what teachers do. And that's what teachers do. They help you get certain, they take their knowledge base and transfer it to you. You can say that about doctors. They dedicate their lives to be able to talk to you for that 15 to 30-minute window to help you extend yours. And what that means is that you have the ability to sow into someone's life. You have the ability to be a sympathetic ear. You have the ability to sit back and be caring. And that is sowing into someone's life. We don't have time to go into the different stories that I have, but I tell you, I have countless stories in which people have said to me, you saved my life and you turned my life around. And I didn't think I was doing anything that special, just talking to them, but it was that impactful. And you have that ability as well.
That's awesome. And it is true. I've watched him pour into so many lives, and it's so inspiring just being able to witness someone else doing it as well. So you never know, people are watching, and you never know who is going to be moved, inspired, encouraged in order to move forward in their life and to overcome something as grand as a pandemic just because they see you sowing what you have into someone else. So we'll be right back. We're going to take a break and we will return.